All right, welcome. In this video, this is part 2 of Programmer Defined Functions Review. We're going to do some more memory maps with functions and review functions. So let's get started. All right, here I have this program. It's incomplete. I'm going to be adding to it. So what happens in this program is you have this function called add money. All right, so if this was your code certainly should have very good comments that describe what this function does, but I'm just going to tell you what it does. So this function has two formal parameters. The first one is a character, the second one is a double. This function will interact with the user by the character initial. The double is going to be the amount of money that the user has in an account. This function is going to ask the user to say how much would you like to add to your account, and then return that. So for example, if the user has $50 in their account and they ask the user, how much would you like to add to your account? And the user says, oh, I'd like to add $10 more to that account, then the function will return $60. All right, so that's what this function does. And a couple of things to point out that this function, this is the prototype. In the prototype, you do not need to have the name of the variable, where in the function definition, you do need the name of the variable, because in the function definition, you actually use that variable. So here, the prototype just says, and it should have very good comments, that in order for this function named add money, you must give it a character value, a double value, and it will return a double. And then you can put in the description of the comments exactly what that function does. All right, so let's get started. We're going to get started by implementing the function. So let's implement the function. So the first thing that you're going to do in this function is you're going to declare the amount to add. So I'm just going to call this double add. That's the amount you're going to add to the account. Then you're going to interact with the user, printf. Because we're going to interact using the initial, you'll say %C. Now, because I'm writing this, I'm going to just be really quick with my prompt, but your prompt should probably be better than just how much. Then this right here doesn't really matter. So this is how much, and then I forgot to add the variable initial here. And then you're going to use scanf. Because it's a character, you're going to put the space here, %C into address of, this is an ampersand, address of initial. All right, so I've already messed up. Hopefully you guys are paying attention, because we are not scanning into the initial. The initial is coming in as a formal parameter, so that's not what we're scanning into. What we are scanning into is the amount you want to add to your account. So we want to do scanf %LF into address of, that's an ampersand, add. We're going to add that amount to that, so then we're going to return the original amount plus the amount that has been added. So this is the function definition for this add money function. You're interacting with the user through the initial. The initial comes in. You're also going to use an amount. That's a value. That value is going to come in. You're going to get how much you want to add. You're going to add those together and return. This is a double. This is a double. The return type is a double, so it should all match. Now up here, we'll do the function definition. In the function we'll do the definition of the main function. So in this case, I'm trying to also demonstrate that when you are doing a function definition, I wrote this function definition. Now, when programs start to execute, this program's never going to reach the add money function, because execution always starts at the first instruction in the main function. So in this case, my important part of this program is this add money function. And this is a function called add money that has two formal parameters, an initial and a double. The initial is, a character and a double. The character is an initial, so you can interact with the user with their initial. The double is an amount that's going to be the amount that's in an account. So you're going to ask the user how much they want to add to their account and return the new value. So in order to test this function, we're going to use the main function as a driver. It's called a driver because we need to get started and test our function. So the main function we will use our main function, and we will make a function call to this function and print the result and test to make sure that it's working. So how do we test this function? Well, we need to have an initial and we need to have an amount. So because we're going to be testing our function, this is not a complete program. We're just using the main function as a driver. So therefore, I'm going to declare my character and assign it a value. And I'm going to declare my double and assign it a value. So the double is going to be the amount. And I'm going to assign it, just to test it, to make sure it works the way I expect, I'm assigning it the value of $50. All right, so I want to make sure that this is working as expected, and I want to test it. So in order to test it, I need to make the function call to add money. So the add money function will be called, and I'm going to pass it. The first argument is got to match the first parameter, which is a character that has a value in it. So I will pass it let, and the second one must be a double that has a value in it. So I'm going to pass it amount. This function is going to do all of its work, and then I'm going to choose to have it pass back and give the result back to my amount. Why would I do that? Because that's what I want to do. I want to add. I want to start with $50 and then I want to add to that account. So that says amount. And then I want to print to test it. So if I was using a compiler, that says print right there. It's hard to read, but that just says the word print. If I was using a compiler, I would want to add printf statements to follow what's going on in my code. But because I'm doing a drawing with my memory map, I don't really need to write the printf. All right, so let's get started. So here's my memory map. Again, I'm going to choose to put the local variables to the main function up here. So this will be the local variables of the main function, and this will be the local variables of the add money function. So I'm going to separate in memory as a visualization of the different variables that are local to the different functions. So I will use blue for the main function, since those are blue, and I will use yellow for the add money function. All right, so let's get started. It always starts with executing right here at the first instruction or statement in main. So the variable let will be declared. Your operating system will find an empty place in memory for a variable called let. It will have an address. So this will be the address of let. I'm not going to write address of every time. I'm just going to say it. And we're actually assigning the value x. The second statement here, we're going to declare a variable called double. Did I just say double? We're going to declare a double variable called amount. It's going to have an address, so this will be the address of amount, and it gets assigned a value $50. So your main function has two variables and they have values in them. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to call our add money function, and we're going to pass it two arguments. So add money is going to get called, and when add money gets called, a variable called initial is going to get declared. Initial is going to get assigned the value of x. That's just like saying char initial equals x, because what's getting passed to it from the function call is the value x. Also, initial has an address. Then amount is going to get declared and assign the value of $50. Now, amount also has an address, and you will notice that there's an amount variable in the add money function, and there's also an amount variable in the main function. Those are two different variables. They could have completely different names. They have completely different addresses, different locations in memory. So even though they have the same name, they are two completely different variables. Okay, one is local to the add money function, the other one is local to the main function. All right, so now we print onto the screen the initial X, how much. Okay, we don't need to draw that. Then, oops, I didn't start at the beginning. Start at the first instruction here. I'm going to find an empty place in memory for a variable called add. And it's going to have an address. And what is the value? We don't know because it didn't get assigned anything yet. Then we say X, how much? Now scanf, the second argument to scanf is the address of add. So the computer's going to go starting at 0 and find where add is located in memory. The user's going to give you a number. I'm just going to stick with what I've been saying, $10. So now add now has a value of $10. So then I'm going to, so we printed that, we just did that instruction. So now it's time to do the last instruction. We need to make sure that we have a double return type, that what we are returning is a double, and what is accepting what's being returned is a double. So we're going to take the $50 plus the $10, add them together, and return it. So this function call right here is going to be $60. That $60 is then going to be assigned to the variable amount. All right, so hopefully this helps you understand more about memory maps, how passing things to functions works, pass by copy, copying things, returning things from functions. Please review all of the Module 3 content. There is a lot of information and sample code in there to help you to practice functions.